Ba-da-ba-ba, ba-da-ba-ba. All right. Promoter 101. 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 Promoter 101.
Hey, this is Larry Weintraub from TMA, and you're listening to Promoter 101.
It's time once again for the Promoter 101 podcast, and this week we feature Midas Promotions' Michael Hosking coming in from Singapore. What's going on, Dan Steinberg?
How you doing, my friend? I'm excited that we have 3 questions with Home Vibe Presents. Mike Ligon. I got to tell you, Luke, I spent a couple days in LA. Got a couple interviews for the podcast wrapped up and very excited. We got some really cool things coming up. However, Chuck LaValle's memorial service was this weekend too, and I was really happy that I was able to say goodbye to my friend. And I had heard that Music Cares stepped up and helped the family close that out. And I just thought that was the coolest thing ever, that Music Cares was there for somebody in the industry whose family needed it. And I just thought that was so awesome. It really touched me to see that Music Cares was there for his family. Really happy that that organization exists and they're doing good things. And if you get a chance to do something for Music Cares, I think it's a great cause.
It really is. Phenomenal resources. You should definitely check it out. Grammy.com/musiccares.
Hi, this is Tina Suka. I am with BSE Global, and I'm on Promoter 101.
Have you missed any of our past Promoter 101 episodes? What the hell is with you? Get the fuck caught up. Let me help you out. Episode 88 is one we've picked out just for you, and you can find that at promoter101.net or on Spotify or Spreaker, SoundCloud, pretty much anywhere that you can find your Promoter 101 favorite episodes.
That's right. Episode 88 was a one worth revisiting, Dan. We had John Phillips from Silverback Music talking dumpster funk and slightly stupid.
Plus, Live Nation Spain's legendary promoter, Pino, joins us to chat about his iconic career. Very few promoters that are known well enough just by their first name, but Pino is an icon.
He truly is, and a great interview as well, too. We also had 3 questions from the Broadberry's Lucas Fritz. Looking forward to seeing Lucas this weekend at a Delta Ray show, Dan. Shameless plug.
Shameless plug. And hey, if you happen to have a free moment while you're waiting in line for Delta Ray, maybe you could drop us a review or subscribe to Promoter 101, or just tell a few friends. There's some ridiculous dudes talking about the music industry that think they know what they're talking about. And it's fun to see how wrong they are.
Oh, wait, you're talking about us?
Well, I mean, that would be them talking about us, because clearly we're in denial and think we actually know what we're talking about.
Hi, this is Kevin Morrow from Steel Bull Entertainment on Promoter 101.
News of the week.
Hey, Luke, what's news?
It's time for News of the Week. Woodstock 50th canceled. Back in March in the podcast, we talked about how the ambitious 100,000 passes sold goal of Woodstock was something of a question, and this week we might find out the answer as the Dentsu Aegis Network has pulled its money as the principal investor from the Michael Lang-led event. Dave Brooks, continuing to report on the story on Billboard, had a great scoop this week. A statement from Aegis said, "We don't believe the production of the festival can be executed as an event worthy of the Woodstock brand name." Continuing, after careful consideration, the Dentsu Aegis Network Amplify Live, partner of Woodstock 50, has decided to cancel the festival. According to Billboard sources, more than $30 million had already been paid on festival talent, and then most artists had already been paid. Some major names in the lineup included The Killers, Dead & Company, Imagine Dragons, Jay-Z, Chance the Rapper, Miley Cyrus, Sturgill Simpson, and more. Organizers were apparently shopping a $20 million investment to both AEG and Live Nation to save the event, but both companies declined the offer. The event was scheduled for August 16th to 18th, 2019. The pop world descended on Vegas again at the MGM Garden Arena for the 2019 Billboard Music Awards on Wednesday night. Kelly Clarkson hosted the star-studded event produced by Dick Clark Productions, and Cardi B led the way with 21 nominations. Drake picked up 12 awards, including Top Male Artist, Top Rap Artist, and Top Billboard 200 chart artist, bringing up to 27 BVMAs, making him the most awarded artist in art awards history. Earnings season on the street continues. Eventbrite posted a disappointing financial results on Wednesday, reporting a 9.1% growth in revenue, but a widening operating loss of $10.1 million in Q1 compared to the $3.1 million in the same quarter last year. Operating expenses increased nearly 25% year over year in the quarter as Eventbrite increased spending on product development and added a headcount after the acquisitions of Ticket T and Patikta. Shares fell 30% to $17, the lowest since its IPO. And finally, some more numbers. This is just an interesting tidbit and stat from Spotify's quarterly report. Spotify revealed that it was adding approximately 40,000 tracks per day to its service. That's 280,000 per week, 1.2 million per month, or 14.6 million tracks this year. That's 14.6 million. Crazy. That'll do it for News of the Week.
I'm Lee Zeidman. I'm president of Staples Center Microsoft Theater LA Live, and I'm on Promoter 101.
Up first in episode 147 of Promoter 101, we're going to kick it off with 3 questions with Home Vibe presents Mike Ligon, who's the talent buyer for the Walnut Room, E-Town Hall in Colorado, and he's also the manager for Stephen Kellogg.
Welcome to the podcast, Mike.
Hey, thanks. Happy to be here.
What do you got for us?
Let's start in the social media realm. So many new communication channels, such as social media and streaming, have entered the market. How has this really impacted the way that you promote shows, and what has really helped as a result of it, and what maybe has hindered the process as a result of all the new channels?
Well, I mean, I think we've really seen a whole lot less trips to Kinko's because flyering has almost been done away with. So it's certainly made it cheaper to promote shows. And obviously, it's a quicker interaction with the fans directly in real time. So you can announce a last minute show over Twitter and you can sell it without spending any money. It's great. Social media is a great thing, but there's so much white noise and you got to overcome that. And it's really hard to do it without spending any money. So that's your challenge.
Totally. I have another question. A stat I saw recently, according to Songkick, saying 40% of concert tickets go unsold due to mainly just the fact that people don't know about the shows. Do you agree with that? And if so, how does the industry solve the problem? If you don't agree with that, I'm curious as to your take too.
Well, it's a really random fact, and you got to wonder where it comes from, right? Where they did that research. But look, we're not the NFL, we're not NASCAR, and we're certainly not, in most cases, major motion pictures that have multi-million-dollar budgets to market to people. In a lot of cases, we're talking about a $750 to $55,000 budget. And to penetrate a major market and to find every fan with that kind of budget just isn't going to happen. So it's about maximizing our dollar and getting to the right people with what we can afford to invest on our return of investment. So at some points, you're not going to be able to find every fan in the market. It's just unrealistic. So when the band hears from the fan, I didn't even know you guys were in town. It's just like, well, yeah, we were playing an 1,800 seater and we only had a $7,500 budget. We weren't able to get to everyone in a major top 10 market with that budget to seep through. We would need a $300,000 or $400,000 budget to realistically try to fight that fight. But you do your best foot forward in the best possible places, and the marketing teams fight that fight. And I think they do a hell of a job in a lot of cases because it's not about finding everyone in the market. It's about finding the people that would realistically come, because the answer is, oh, if I had known, I would have come. But not in every case does the show come to town and you go, oh, if I only knew. It's just a great thing to say to people. If I knew, I would have gone. But 9 times out of 10, you're going to sit in front of the tube and not go out. So you choose what 10 or 12 shows. And if you're truly a fan, the hardcores always know.
Totally agree. I guess my last question is more about the booking process. The traditional booking process as it exists today, it's fairly outdated. I mean, it's been around a long time. There's a few upstarts like Gigmore and some platforms that are kind of evolved to disrupt that process. What's your general take on where this will head in the future? Just how bands and buyers and promoters will connect into the future. Any thoughts on kind of where that's headed?
Yeah, I mean, it's like a dating app, right? If you don't know someone and, you're trying to get connected to some strange person, you can swipe right on the act or the promoter that you want to work with. That's for the acts that aren't at the top tier or the promoters that aren't at the top tier that were able to make those relationships. So none of those acts are going to be available if the relationships exist, because people are going to go to the promised and true and through promoters. So if that relationship exists, if you've had a beer with that guy, you're not posting that on some random fucking website, bookmyband.com, whatever. You're going to the person you have a relationship with that you know and trust, because you're always going to take the person that has that relationship, that can pay the band, that can do a good job, that knows the market, and that knows how to promote a fucking show over randomly just posting, hey, can you sell my band? Can you buy my band? It's for the acts that just don't know how to do it, that don't have the team behind them yet. The acts that are on there 90 times out of 100 are acts no one ever really wanted to buy in the first place. And it's just falling down to the last possible common denominator of, oh, maybe somebody will pick it up here.
Yeah, relationships are key. Couldn't agree more.
I think you find people, though, in random places, right? So you never know. That might start a relationship that leads to something great down the line. I'm not saying discount it completely, but almost completely.
All right. Well, thanks for the time. I'm glad I was able to ask a few questions.
Thanks for being on Promoter 101, Mike, and best of luck in Colorado. That is a hell of a busy market that you've got yourself built into and have to compete in on a daily basis.
It is. It's a lot of competition, but a lot of great competition and really collaborative market out here. So couldn't ask for more. It's really awesome.
Oh, so excited that we were able to bring 3 questions back. We're going to have a bunch of them coming up over the next couple weeks. And we asked you guys for your questions. And man, did our listenership ever respond. We got some great ones coming up. Thanks to Mike for listening and for playing 3 questions with us. I love the segment.
Randy Phillips. I'm the CEO of Lifestyle Inc. I'm doing Promoter 101.
Tweets of the week.
It is that time of the week. I hope you're ready. Let's get after some tweets of the week. Let's start here, Dan. Time is the most important resource in the world.
It's a little Steiny philosophy for you for the week.
Is that a Steiny philosophy?
Is it a Luke philosophy? I don't think it is.
It's certainly not a Luke philosophy.
Drink a good amount and play a lot of golf and wear colored pants. I think that's a Luke philosophy. That sounds more like Luke.
That sounds more like it, Dan. Always track your deposits. Never count on anyone else to get the paperwork right when it comes to your money.
No one else is ever going to care about your money the way that you do.
Very good advice there. Self-confidence can't be bought.
It must be earned over time. Patience, my friend, patience.
Dan, this one was a tweet, but you said an actual email from the venue GM. Thank you for being the only person in the world to actually release dates.
Buyers, please remember to release your hold so we stop seeing 9th and 13th holds so often these days.
That'll just about do it for Tweets of the Week. Make sure you keep up with Dan on Twitter. He's at the Jew.
I'm at the Jew. Hey, call your mother.
Hi, this is Nicole Carlson. I work with the Charity Network, and I'm on Promoter 101.
In our featured interview this week, we've got all the way from Singapore, Michael Hosking, the head of Midas Promotions.
Welcome to the podcast.
Well, thanks so much for having me, Dan. I'm amazed that people even know where we are in Asia. So for you to find me, it's been a fabulous starting point.
Well, luckily for me, we've been thrown together a couple times for the course of our careers. And
that we have.
Usually at the bar. You do a part of the world that isn't often thought about as part of the landscape of a normal world tour for a lot of the acts. So you get to convince acts to come play Singapore and some of the other Asian markets.
Certainly, that's how life started out for me in the early 90s when we set up offices over there. It really was the last few dates of a tour and a band's got 3 more weeks to stay out of the country. And they said, where can we go that we haven't been? And they'd been to Luxembourg and Belgium and Cyprus and Kosovo. And it's like, oh, China. Yeah, that's a country we haven't been to. And, oh, India, Indonesia. And all of a sudden they realize that half of the world lives in those 3 countries. And then they'll come out and they'll do 1 show or 2 shows. And they said, yeah, we played Asia. We did Singapore and we did Hong Kong and we've done Asia. It was like that for the longest time. But with social media and the internet and the fact that people in Asia now have a voice, you know, they can write to the artists and the management and the agents and say, we want to see this person. We want to see Bruno Mars. We want to see the script. We want to see Sam Smith. And they can often access these artists themselves. We're under a much bigger spotlight. And of course, the behemoths of the entertainment industry, Live Nation and AEG, now have offices and people over there.
So you proved the model and everybody just came in and decided to do business once you told them it was there?
It's very interesting because one of the guys that runs one of those companies in Asia said to me 20 years ago, I remember you coming over and doing these tours. And I was just so in awe of what you did, and we wanted to be like you.
High praise.
Well, it was. I mean, I'm not going to drop the guy's name in it, but, you know, it's one of those 2 big companies that we talked about. And he said, you were doing what we're doing now 20 years ago.
Your business is vast. You get to dabble in a lot of the cooler things, but if you can convince an act to play the market, and it's not always there because there's a lot of challenges to play the market.
Sure. I mean, you've got currency restrictions, you've got regulations, Muslim countries, of which, you know, Indonesia is the biggest gathering of Muslims in the world, religious restrictions, Malaysia that is much smaller but actually has more rigid religious restrictions. Then you go into China where you've got all kinds of political restrictions. Several artists are not allowed to go there because of a passing acquaintance with the Dalai Lama, which they innocently had no idea was restricting their opportunities to go into these markets. Of course, you can research all of that beforehand, but when pop stars are at an award show, they don't really often think about, you know, who they're meeting and the impact of having a photograph taken with this guy or that person or saying this will have on their careers in that market. So we have quite a lot of that going on. Then there's different taxes. In a lot of these countries, you can't take foreign currency in or out easily. You certainly don't want to do 10 dates in China and you've got to pay an artist 100, a million, 2 million, whatever it is. They don't want to be paid in renminbi in Beijing. They want to get paid in dollars in Los Angeles or pounds in London. So there are those challenges. And then there's visas that you have to get and work permits. And, that's the process. And in a lot of these countries, you can be issued a permit, which can then be rescinded for no rhyme or reason, shortly before the event.
Is that force majeure?
Sadly, it's not, because insurance companies won't insure against a government rescinding on a permit.
It's amazing that it's so powerful that they're like, not only do we not want to go, we want to make sure no one else can go either.
Yeah. I'll tell you a story. Many years ago, we worked with a guy called Michael Jackson. First of all, our lives were threatened as promoters bringing him in. The day before the show, we got this warning that said, we're going to position snipers up on these buildings, and when he walks on the stage, we're going to shoot him. So, we have to share that with him, and his manager, and Marcel was in the loop and that. And so they spoke to him, and he just, thought about it and said, no, I don't think it's my destiny to be shot on a stage in Manila, and I'm going to go ahead and do this. This is just some idiot, and it's not the first time he's been threatened, which was great for us. And he walks on stage, and it's a space rocket thing, and the space rocket flies around the arena and then bursts out the stage, and he gets out, and he pulls his helmet off, and he's standing there, and the crowd's going wild. And then I see this red dot suddenly appear on him, and I'm like, oh, my God, this is it. And I'm suddenly looking around, waiting for the crack. And then the dot starts wiggling around. And then there's another dot, and then there's another dot. And then, of course, we realized it was people with laser pointers in the audience. God. But for those few seconds, and it's like, are these guys really going to follow through? We bet that they weren't, and all of a sudden it looked like they were. So, you just never know. In fact, I was just having a cup of coffee earlier on, and we were talking about the restrictions and the hoopla that people have to go through, going through airports and in and out of concert venues and stuff. And we said, you've got a gathering of 1,000 of the world's, entertainment movers and shakers, and they're dishing out red, blue, yellow, and green haversacks. If somebody was, had a mind to, they can come here, get one of those, walk outside, fill it with Semtex, bring it back, stick it in the lobby and detonate it from a phone out there, and nobody would be able to do anything about it. So I think in life in general, we spend our lives taking risks all day. Every time you get out of bed, you're taking a risk facing the day. And I think we just have to manage it as best we can. We have to make some decisions every time. I catch 100 planes a year. I know some people that won't, Elvis wouldn't fly anywhere apart from to Hawaii. I catch 2 airplanes a week, and you're taking a chance. More planes you catch, the more chances are of ending up in the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean or
What a fucking downer it is talking to you today. As I have to get on a flight to go home tomorrow, which way am I going to fucking die? Thanks, Michael.
Well, there you go. I mean, we've all got to go one way or the other. So I've opened up a stem cell clinic in the Philippines.
Are you kidding?
No, I have. I believe in that technology, and it works for me, and it's worked for people we've treated. And that's going to keep us all alive to 150. So you imagine how many planes we're going to be catching between us between now and 150 years of age.
Just keep you alive forever, huh?
It'll keep us alive forever eventually, yeah.
That's an interesting investment you've got on the side. Is that more because you want to help humanity with the technology, or is that a financial investment, or is it a mixture?
A mixture. And it came about, I mean, I don't have a medical brain in my head, but I had a torn rotator cuff, which was giving me a lot of trouble. I mean, I couldn't extend my left arm or shoulder, which meant I couldn't hit golf balls or play football or water ski, or more importantly, put computer bags into overhead bins. And I had MRI scans. They said, you torn a rotator cuff. Is there any fix? No, they can't at your age. Once they're torn, they don't fix. We can do invasive surgery, but that's just stapling two bits of, it's like taking a piece of paper, tearing it in half and putting two staples in it. It's sort of joined, but it's not fixed. We can give you a series of physio. We can fill you up with cortisone, but in the end of the day, you just have to accept your left shoulder's gone and you can't enjoy the rest of your life. And I didn't want to buy into that. Most promoters, they never take no for an answer. So I've got to find a fix or a way around. And I'd seen a presentation about a doctor who'd broken both of his legs skiing. He was in a wheelchair, and the diagnosis was that he'd never walk again. He had a stem cell treatment, and 6 weeks later he was skiing. So I contacted this guy, told him about my shoulder. He said, no problem, we'll fix that. 2 injections in my shoulder, 24 hours later, I had full mobility. So I said, this is a miracle. And he said, no, this is modern technology. And so I needed to be in that space.
That's an entrepreneur spirit that the concert industry has. We're not only going to help the world, we're going to make a dollar doing it.
Well, there you go. And again, like any promoter, and you sit down with the Excel spreadsheet and you come up with all kinds of numbers, and then you actually put the tickets on sale and they don't sell quite as quickly as you had hoped. But you know that eventually, if you keep doing the right thing and making progress and learning from mistakes, you'll make it work in the end. And that's where we're at with that.
What got you into the industry in the first place? Because it's a pretty risky industry, and you're doing it in an even riskier market because it's undeveloped, or at least it was when you got into it.
I mean, it was weird. I remember being interviewed in the Middle East in the mid-'80s. I brought the Liverpool and Celtic football teams to Dubai to play what was then called the Champions Cup, England and Scotland, because they've been banned, English clubs have been banned from playing in Europe after a crowd tragedy in Heysel involving Liverpool fans. And I was being interviewed by a paper, and I was with a school friend of mine who played professional football later on. The journalist said, so, when was the first event you ever did? And I said, well, it must have been like 1982. We brought Leo Sayer out to Bahrain. He played at a swimming pool at the Sheraton Hotel. There was a barbecue going on, and Leo was there, and blah, blah, blah. And I'd been inspired to do that, having watched Tina Turner play at the Hilton Hotel Bahrain ballroom, 120 people having dinner, and there's Tina Turner singing while they're all going through their prawn cocktails and filet mignons. This friend of mine turned around and said, no, Mike, that's not true. The first event you ever did was in 1973. You organized a school disco, and you had a band and a DJ, and you bought the crisps and the soda, and you managed to convince the school to let girls come to an all-boys school, and then you went around and convinced some other superior at the girls' convent that it would all be okay. And I'm like, wow, you know what? I'd even forgotten about that. So I guess somewhere in my DNA, there was a penchant for trying to organize live music. I mean, I can't sing a note. I can't play a note. I'm tone deaf.
But you know Excel.
Well, I know Excel now. I mean, there was no Excel in those days. So that was probably the beginning of it. And I left school at 16. I ran away from home at 17. I went to Bahrain, which is as far as I could get with the £50 I'd won on effectively a lottery ticket. It was a premium bond in those days. I started a T-shirt printing business when I was 18 in 1978. Some of my clients include visiting pop stars, one of which was Tina Turner. So I'm standing out there with my table with, Tina Turner live at the Hilton Bahrain. And 1 in every 10 people would walk past and they'd pay $2 or $3 for a shirt. And meanwhile, everybody's paying $25 to walk into the ballroom to watch her sing. And I thought, you know what? I've got this wrong. So, being young and enthusiastic, wandered around talking to the roadies, and I said, how do I get into this business? Are you going to speak to the tour manager? And blah, blah, blah. And they said, all right, well, if you really want to do this, next time we come over, we'll give you a shout. And I said, what do I need to do? They said, well, you've got to make sure that the smokers get the smoking rooms, the vegetarians get the vegetarian meals, they turn up with a truck big enough to carry the luggage as well as just the bus. And I said, you mean people don't do that? And they said, no, they don't. So I'm like, can I get one of those plastic badges? And they said, yep, we'll give you one of those. Can I get an autograph from the pop star? Yep, I'm your man. And that was it. And I think one of the first shows we did was Leo Sayer, and Phil Bowdy was his tour manager back then.
Oh, nice.
I imagine, yeah. So I've known Phil since the early 80s.
So you started out in the T-shirt place just like Michael Cole, and that got you close to the band
as well.
There you go.
And apparently Harvey Goldsmith also started printing T-shirts for the Rolling Stones back in the early 70s. And these were people I didn't even know when I started my T-shirt. In fact, I'd heard of Harvey Goldsmith because I'd seen the Rolling Stones in 76, but I didn't know who he was. And then later on, I had the privilege of meeting him.
Is there enough business in Asia that it doesn't matter that AEG and Live Nation are there, that your business, there's not?
No, there isn't.
So it's really affected your business?
It's really affected our business and the business of other independent promoters like ourselves. I mean, we were the first regional promoters of any description, but in every market there were a guy, Neil Thompson, looked after Thailand, and Stephen Kim looked after Korea, and
like mob bosses. You broke it up.
Well, now Stephen Kim is Live Nation, and Neil Thompson is Live Nation. Michael Roach was Live Nation, and now he's not again. So all the big acts, the people that we worked with from the beginning, the Maroon 5s and the Bruno Marses and the Justin Biebers and the Taylor Swifts, and I remember promoting Bon Jovi back in 1992, 93. They're all just off the table now. I mean...
Well, how long can Bon Jovi be a star? 10, 20, 30? Oh, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, he dreams about movies they won't make of him when he's dead. He's made a couple since. Yeah. For us to get a marquee signing, it's now very difficult. There are a few artists that will stay very loyal, but not many. The lure of a worldwide deal. We used to offer 15, 16, 18 dates, and now Live Nation are offering these guys 100 dates. No, I can't offer them dates in America or Europe or Australia. Even though I have people who have money that will say, I will buy a world tour. Mike, go to Ed Sheeran, go to Bruno Mars. I'll give you the $150 million, but it's just not going to happen.
Ed's going to be loyal to the guys in this market in the U.S. as well.
Well, he is. He's a very loyal guy.
Yeah, him in particular, yeah. He's going to be very loyal to Louis Messina. Yeah. And then, here, Stuart Galbraith has done an amazing job with that.
And my understanding is that when he plays 3 sold-out Wembleys, the guy that used to put him in the local pub in wherever it is he comes from, in Norfolk or whatever it is still got a piece of that action. He was the very first promoter who said, yeah, you can go and stand up there and play, which is fantastic. And Ed Sheeran is a lovely, lovely guy, and he's one of these, he's like a Bill Clinton, who I've not met, but everyone who has met him has said, you meet him and all of a sudden you think he's your best friend. He makes you feel that you're important and relevant in his life, even though he's meeting 1 million people a day. And Ed Sheeran's just like that. You walk away from him and think, oh my God, this guy likes me.
You've had an amazingly successful career, and it's had some serious longevity. Do you have any advice for some of the young kids coming up on how to have a long career?
I think you got to stay real. I know that sounds very cliche. I think that, everyone's got an opinion on the music industry. You have to decide who makes sense, who doesn't. Believe in what you do. You have to take risks. When I started, I had nothing. I was completely broke. So it's easy to risk everything when you don't have anything. When you have a ton of money and then you're being asked to risk that, and you think, if I get this wrong, I'm going to be selling a house to pay for my kids' school fees. It's a whole different dynamic. So start small, stay as focused as you can, but keep an open mind and, realize that the landscape is changing. Nowadays, it's changing every day. And it used to change every year, but now it's changing every day. Look out for the new talents, develop a personality. Even though it's a corporate world, it's still personalities. Get on with as many people as you can. Try and get on with people that you don't like, and accept that a lot of people that aren't going to like you, but you've still got to get on with them. Keep at it. And love the business. Whenever I get asked to give a motivational speech, I just say to people, the school leavers, find a job that you like and never work a day in your life. And I believe that's true. And this career or this industry has given me that opportunity. Every day is not a happy day, but every day brings its share of happiness.
Thank you so much, Michael.
Pleasure, Dan. Anytime, mate.
The London sessions, man, they keep rolling through. Michael is an international man of mystery, mover and shaker. Thrilled to have him here on Promoter 101. Hey now.
Hey now.
Hey, this is Justin Kajawa with Niederlander Concerts, and you're listening to Promoter 101.
That'll do it. Episode 147 of Promoter 101. Thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you to our wonderful guest this week from Midas Promotions, Michael Hosking, and Home Vibe Presents, Mike Ligon. Thank you for coming on the podcast. If you liked what you listened to, we want to hear about it. Write to us at steiny@promoter101.net. Feel free to tell us what's on your mind.
Luke, how do I know that somehow right now you are having deep concentration on who next week's guest is? In your mind, you've got it vibed perfectly. You could tell us right now if you wanted to.
I could tell you right now. Should I tell everyone who Monday's guest is going to be, Dan?
Monday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Central, and 8 p.m. Eastern? Yeah, who's that guest?
It's Johnny Schumann from AEG. He's newly posted in Los Angeles, Dan, hence your interviews down there. But Johnny coming out of Denver, headed to LA. He's here to talk to us on the podcast about the move.
Until then, we're wishing you sold-out shows for the weeks to come. Cheers!
Call your mother.
It's Rick Mueller from AEG Presents, and you're listening to Promoter 101.
Ba-da-ba-ba, ba-da.